3 years had passed since humanity discovered the alien warship, and the massive vessel was slowly coming back to life. The ship now had a new name, Retribution. It floated in a secret construction facility built in the asteroid belt, far from Earth where no one could see the incredible work being done. Kim Do-hyun stood in the main engine room, watching as human and alien technology merged together in ways that should have been impossible. The massive Keth engines had been rebuilt with human materials and computer systems. They were now more powerful than the original design, and much more reliable. "The quantum energy core is stable," he reported to General Oh Tae-won, who was overseeing the military side of the reconstruction. "We've managed to increase power output by 30% while reducing the risk of overload." General Oh was a tough military man who had spent his entire career preparing for wars that never came. Now he was preparing for the most important war in human history. "What about the weapons systems?" Dr. Shin Ji-young walked over from her workstation. She was the project's expert on alien weapons and had spent 3 years learning how Keth technology worked. "The main guns are operational, but we've made some interesting modifications." She led them to the ship's primary weapon deck. The alien guns were huge, each one the size of a small building, but human engineers had added new targeting systems and ammunition types that the original Keth designers never imagined. The Keth built these weapons to destroy large, slow-moving targets like cities or space stations, Dr. Shin explained. "But we've modified them to track and destroy fast-moving ships. We've also created new types of ammunition that can penetrate Keth shields." Technician Lim Min-ho was working on the ship's hull in another part of the vessel. He was responsible for making sure the massive ship could survive in battle. The original Keth armor was strong, but human engineers had found ways to make it even better. "We've reinforced the hull with metamaterials developed on Earth," he explained to General Oh. "The new armor can absorb and redirect energy weapons instead of just blocking them. We've also added redundant systems so the ship can keep fighting even if it takes heavy damage." The Bridge of the Retribution was where human and alien technology came together most dramatically. The alien control systems had been redesigned to work with human hands and minds. Captain Yoon Seo-hee, who had been chosen to command the rebuilt warship, was learning to use the hybrid controls. "It's like flying a ship that can read your thoughts," she told Kim Do-hyun. "The alien systems respond to neural patterns. When I think about changing course, the ship starts to respond before I even touch the controls. That's because we've connected the alien neural interface to human brain patterns," Kim Do-hyun explained. "The Keth designed their ships to work with their alien minds, but we've taught the computers to understand human thinking." The most difficult part of the reconstruction was the ship's faster-than-light drive. Keth technology could bend space and time to allow travel between star systems in days instead of years. But human scientists barely understood the basic principles behind this technology. Nam Ji-won had been testing smaller ships with modified alien engines for 2 years. She was now the most experienced human pilot in faster-than-light travel. "The trick is not to fight the technology," she explained to the other pilots being trained for the Retribution. "Human reflexes are actually faster than Keth reflexes, but we have to learn to work with the ship's systems instead of trying to control them." The crew of the Retribution was made up of humanity's best and brightest. They came from every nation on Earth and had been training together for over a year. The ship required a crew of 800 people to operate effectively, compared to the 3,000 Keth who had originally operated it. "Humans are more adaptable than the Keth," explained Dr. Park Min-ji, who was now serving as the ship's cultural advisor. "The aliens specialized each crew member for a specific job, but humans can learn multiple tasks and switch between roles as needed. That makes our crew much more efficient." The ship's medical bay had been completely redesigned for human use. The alien medical technology was incredibly advanced, but it had been designed for Keth biology. Human doctors had spent months figuring out how to modify alien healing systems to work on human bodies. "The Keth medical systems can heal injuries that would be fatal to humans," reported Dr. Kim Suman, the ship's chief medical officer. "We can now treat radiation poisoning, pressure injuries, and even some types of brain damage using modified alien technology." As the 4th year of reconstruction began, the Retribution was finally ready for its first test flight. The massive ship had been rebuilt from the inside out, combining the best of human and alien technology. It was no longer just a Keth warship. It had become something entirely new. Captain Yoon Seo-hee sat in the command chair as the ship's engines came to life for the first time in decades. The bridge crew was nervous but excited. They were about to pilot the most advanced warship ever created by human hands. "All systems show green," reported Navigation Officer Park Jung-hyun. "We're ready for departure." "Take us out slowly," Captain Yoon ordered. "Let's see how she handles." The Retribution moved away from the construction facility with surprising grace for such a massive vessel. The hybrid engines responded perfectly to human commands, and the ship's systems worked together smoothly. "She's beautiful," whispered Engineer Lee Jae-won from his station. "The power readings are incredible. We have enough energy to level a small moon." But the real test came when they attempted faster-than-light travel. The alien drive system activated, and space began to bend around the ship. The crew felt a strange sensation as reality itself seemed to twist and change. In less than an hour, the Retribution had traveled to the edge of the solar system and back. The journey that had taken the original New Horizon months to complete was finished in less time than it took to eat lunch. "Outstanding," Captain Yoon reported back to Earth. "All systems performed flawlessly. We're ready for combat trials." The combat trials were conducted in the outer solar system, far from any inhabited worlds. The Retribution faced off against remote-controlled target ships and holographic enemies created to simulate Keth vessels. The results were better than anyone had dared hope. The rebuilt warship was faster, more maneuverable, and more heavily armed than the original Keth design. Human modifications had turned a powerful alien vessel into something truly extraordinary. "We're not just matching Keth technology," Kim Do-hyun reported to Admiral Choi. "We're exceeding it. The combination of alien science and human engineering has created capabilities that neither species could achieve alone." But even as they celebrated their success, troubling news arrived from Earth's early warning systems. Long-range sensors had detected ships moving toward the solar system. The Keth were sending advanced scouts earlier than expected. "We have 18 months before the scout ships arrive," Admiral Choi announced to the Retribution's crew. "After that, we have maybe 2 years before the main invasion fleet follows them." Captain Yoon looked around at her crew. They had accomplished the impossible by rebuilding an alien warship, but now they faced an even greater challenge. They would have to take their single ship against an enemy that controlled half the galaxy. "What are our orders?" she asked. "We're not going to wait for them to come to us," Admiral Choi replied. "The Retribution will intercept the Keth scouts before they can report back to their empire. We're going to make the hunters become the hunted." The crew of the Retribution spent the next few months preparing for their first combat mission against live Keth forces. They practiced battle maneuvers, studied enemy tactics, and prepared for the possibility that they might not survive the encounter. But they also knew that they carried humanity's only hope. The rebuilt warship was more than just a weapon. It was proof that human creativity and determination could overcome any challenge. The alien technology had been impressive, but it had taken human ingenuity to unlock its true potential. As the Retribution prepared to leave the solar system for its first combat mission, Captain Yoon stood on the bridge and looked at the stars ahead. Somewhere out there, Keth ships were coming to destroy her world and her species, but they would find something waiting for them that they never expected. Their own technology, rebuilt and improved by the very species they had planned to eliminate. The war for humanity's survival was about to begin, and Earth's children were ready to fight back with weapons their enemies had never imagined facing. The abandoned alien warship had become humanity's instrument of revenge, and the galaxy would never be the same. The New Horizon returned to Earth 3 months after discovering the alien warship. Commander Lee Hwan had sent emergency messages ahead, but nothing could prepare Earth's leaders for what they were about to learn. The entire planet was about to discover that they were not alone in the universe, and that they were in terrible danger. Admiral Choi Sun-ho was waiting at the space dock when the New Horizon arrived. He was the commander of Earth's Defense Force, which had been created to protect human colonies and trading ships, but his small fleet of 30 ships would be useless against what was coming. "Commander Lee, I've read your reports 3 times, and I still can't believe them," Admiral Choi said as they walked through the space station. "Are you certain about what you found?" "Yes, sir. Dr. Park has translated enough of their language to be sure. The Keth Empire has been watching Earth for at least 20 years. They know about our technology, our population, and our military strength." Dr. Park Minji carried a sealed case containing alien data storage devices. Inside was everything they had learned about the Keth Empire and their plans for humanity. The information was so dangerous that only a few people were allowed to see it. They went to a secure meeting room deep inside the space station. The President of Earth, the Secretary of Defense, and the heads of all major nations were there. Also present was scientist Jang Harry, who was Earth's best expert on artificial intelligence and computer systems. "Ladies and gentlemen," Admiral Choi began, "what you are about to hear will change everything we know about our place in the universe." Dr. Park opened her case and connected the alien storage devices to Earth's most powerful computers. Jang Harry had spent weeks preparing systems that could safely analyze alien data without risking Earth's computer networks. "The alien race calls themselves the Keth," Dr. Park explained. "They come from a star system about 500 light-years from Earth. Their empire spans over 1,000 worlds, and they have been conquering other civilizations for more than 2,000 years. Images appeared on the screen, showing alien worlds that had been destroyed by Keth forces. Cities had been burned to ash. Entire species had been wiped out. The Keth did not just conquer worlds. They eliminated any race they considered inferior. "How do they choose which worlds to attack?" asked the president. "They send scout ships to study developing civilizations," Jang Harry answered. She had been working day and night to understand the alien data. When a species reaches a certain level of technology, the Keth decide whether to recruit them as slaves or destroy them completely. "Which category do we fall into?" asked the Secretary of Defense. "Destruction," Dr. Park said quietly. "According to their files, humans are considered too aggressive and independent to be useful slaves. The Keth plan to eliminate our entire species and take Earth for themselves." The room fell silent. The leaders of Earth stared at the evidence of humanity's planned extinction. Some looked angry, others looked scared, but all of them understood that everything had changed. Admiral Choi stood up. "How much time do we have?" "The main invasion fleet will arrive in Earth's solar system in 8 to 10 years, Dr. Park replied. "But they'll send advanced scout groups starting in about 6 years to make sure we haven't developed any dangerous weapons." "What about that alien ship you found? Can we learn from it?" Kim Do-yoon, who had been quiet until now, opened his laptop. "I've been studying the alien technology for months. Their science is hundreds of years ahead of ours, but I think we can understand some of it." He showed them detailed scans of the alien weapons and engines. The Keth use something they call quantum energy manipulation. It's a way of controlling the basic forces of the universe. Their weapons can destroy entire cities with a single shot. Their ships can travel faster than light by bending space around them. "Can we build weapons like that?" the president asked. "Not exactly like theirs, but maybe we can create something similar. The problem is that their technology requires materials and energy sources we don't have on Earth." Jang Harry had been studying the alien computer systems. "I have some better news," she said. "The Keth are very advanced, but they're also predictable. They've conquered so many weak civilizations that they've become overconfident. They always use the same battle tactics and the same types of weapons." "What does that mean for us?" Admiral Choi asked. "It means they're not expecting us to fight back effectively. Every species they've conquered has surrendered or been destroyed quickly. They've never faced an enemy that could surprise them." Over the next few days, Earth's leaders made a decision that would determine humanity's fate. They created a secret project called Project Redemption. The goal was to study the alien technology and find a way to defend Earth against the Keth invasion. Admiral Choi was put in command of the project. Dr. Park would lead the team studying Keth language and culture. Kim Do-hyun would try to understand and copy their technology. Jang Harry would work on breaking their computer codes and communication systems. The hardest part was keeping the project secret. The people of Earth could not know about the coming invasion yet. If they knew, there would be panic and chaos. Instead, the government told people that they were studying an interesting discovery that could help with space exploration. Pilot Nam Ji-won was brought into the project because of her exceptional flying skills. She had won every major space racing championship and was known for her ability to pilot any kind of spacecraft. Her job would be to test any new ships or weapons they developed. "I've seen the videos of Keth ships in battle," she told Kim Do-hyun. "They're fast and powerful, but they fly in very organized formations. Human pilots are more unpredictable. That could be an advantage." The first year of Project Redemption was very difficult. The alien technology was so advanced that Earth scientists could barely understand the basic principles. The materials used in Keth weapons didn't exist on Earth. The energy sources required were 1,000 times more powerful than anything humans had ever created. But slowly, they began to make progress. Kim Do-hyun discovered that Keth quantum energy manipulation was based on mathematical equations that humans could understand. The aliens used different materials, but the basic science was similar to some of Earth's most advanced theories. Jung Harry made an important breakthrough when she cracked the Keth communication codes. They use a very complex language, but their military communications follow strict patterns, she explained to Admiral Choi. If we can intercept their messages, we'll know exactly what they're planning. Dr. Park made perhaps the most important discovery of all. Deep in the alien ship's memory banks, she found detailed information about every world the Keth had conquered, but she also found something else: records of their few defeats. The Keth aren't invincible, she reported to the project team. They've lost battles before, usually when they underestimated their enemies or faced tactics they didn't expect. What kind of tactics? Admiral Choi asked. Guerrilla warfare, surprise attacks, and unconventional weapons. The Keth are used to facing enemies who fight like they do. Organized fleets meeting in open space. They have trouble dealing with enemies who fight differently. As the second year of Project Redemption began, Earth started to see the first practical results. Kim Do-hyun had created small prototype weapons based on Keth technology. They weren't as powerful as the alien originals, but they were far more advanced than anything Earth had possessed before. Nam Ji-won tested the first human spacecraft equipped with modified alien engines. The test flight was dangerous. No one knew if a human pilot could handle the stresses of faster-than-light travel. But Nam Ji-won successfully flew the experimental ship to the edge of the solar system and back in just 6 hours. It's incredible, she reported. The ship responds to thought almost as much as to controls. It's like the alien technology can read the pilot's intentions. But even with their progress, the project team knew they were running out of time. The alien invasion fleet was getting closer, and Earth's defenses were still pathetically weak compared to Keth military power. Admiral Choi made a bold decision. Instead of just trying to defend Earth, Project Redemption would attempt something that had never been done before. They would rebuild the abandoned Keth warship and turn it into humanity's weapon. You want to repair a 3-kilometer alien battleship with human technology? Kim Do-hyun asked in amazement. Not just repair it, Admiral Choi replied. I want to make it better. The Keth built that ship, but they never imagined it could be operated by humans. We're going to take their technology and improve it with human creativity and unpredictability. The abandoned alien warship became humanity's secret weapon project. Deep in space, far from Earth, teams of engineers and scientists worked around the clock to bring the massive vessel back to life. They had less than 5 years to complete the impossible task. Earth's fate now depended on whether human ingenuity could triumph over alien technology, and whether a species that had barely reached the stars could defeat an empire that had conquered the galaxy. Commander Lee Hwan stood on the bridge of the New Horizon and stared at the massive object floating in space. The alien ship was huge, much bigger than any human vessel ever built. Its dark metal surface was covered with strange patterns and symbols that hurt his eyes to look at for too long. How big is that thing? Lee Hwan asked his crew. Sir, it's about 3 kilometers long and 1 kilometer wide, said Officer Kim Tae-hyun from his station. That's 10 times bigger than our ship. The New Horizon was humanity's first deep space colony ship. They had been traveling for 2 years to reach the Kepler 442 system, looking for a new planet to call home. Earth was getting crowded and people needed more space to live. But they never expected to find something like this. Dr. Park Min-ji walked over to Lee Hwan. She was the ship's expert on alien life and technology. Her job was to study any strange things they might find in space, but she had never seen anything like this before. Commander, I'm reading some very odd energy signals from that ship, she said. It's been damaged badly, but parts of it are still working. Is it dangerous? Lee Hwan asked. I don't know yet. The energy is not like anything we use on Earth. It's much more powerful, but it seems stable for now. Captain Yoon Seo-hee joined them on the bridge. She was in charge of the ship's security and weapons. Her job was to keep everyone safe during their long trip through space. Should we stay away from it? She asked. We don't know who built that ship or why it's here. Li Huan thought about this. The alien ship could be very dangerous, but it could also teach them amazing things about technology and space travel. Humans had always dreamed of meeting aliens. This was their first chance. We're going to take a closer look, he decided, but we'll be very careful. Engineer Kim Do-hyun was working at his computer station. He was the smartest person on the ship when it came to fixing things and understanding how machines worked. He was studying the alien ship with all of their sensors. "Commander, I think this ship has been floating here for a long time," he said. "Maybe years or even decades. It looks like it was in a big fight." "What kind of fight?" Li Huan asked. "There are blast marks all over the hull. Some parts of the ship are completely destroyed, but the main structure is still solid." As they got closer to the alien ship, they could see more details. The ship was shaped like a long triangle with sharp edges. It was painted in dark colors that seemed to change when the light hit them. Strange towers and weapons stuck out from its surface, but most of them were broken or melted. "I'm seeing some kind of writing on the hull," said Dr. Park Minji. "The symbols don't match any language in our database." "Can you figure out what they mean?" Li Huan asked. "I can try, but it will take time. This is completely new to us." The New Horizons slowly moved around the alien ship, taking pictures and scanning it with their instruments. The crew was excited but also scared. This was the most important discovery in human history. "Commander, I'm finding something interesting," said Kim Do-hyun. "There's a big hole in the side of the ship. It looks like we could fly our shuttle through it and go inside. Is that safe?" Captain Yoon Seo-hee asked. "The structure looks stable around that area, but we don't know what's inside." Li Huan made a decision that would change everything for humanity. "We're going in. Dr. Park, Kim Do-hyun, and Captain Yoon will come with me. The rest of the crew stays here and watches our ship." They prepared a small shuttle and put on their spacesuits. The shuttle was much smaller than the alien ship, like a tiny bug next to a giant whale. As they flew toward the hole in the alien ship's side, they could see how much damage it had taken. "This wasn't just a fight," said Dr. Park Minji. "This was a war." The hole was big enough for their shuttle to fly through easily. Inside, they found long corridors and huge rooms filled with broken machines. The walls were covered with the same strange symbols they had seen outside. "The air in here is breathable," said Kim Do-hyun, checking his instruments, "but I recommend we keep our suits on just in case." They walked through the empty corridors with their flashlights. Everything was quiet and dark. Their footsteps echoed in the silence. The alien ship felt like a ghost town, empty and sad. "Look at this," called Captain Yoon Seo-hee. She was standing in front of a huge room filled with broken screens and control panels. "This must have been their bridge, like where we control our ship." The alien bridge was much bigger than anything on human ships. The chairs were shaped strangely, like they were made for beings with different bodies than humans. Some of the screens were still working, showing symbols that moved and changed colors. Dr. Park Minji sat down at one of the control stations and connected her computer to the alien systems. "I'm trying to access their data files," she said. "If I can understand their language, maybe I can learn who they were and what happened to them." While she worked, Li Huan and the others explored more of the ship. They found rooms full of strange weapons that were bigger and more powerful than anything humans had ever built. They found living areas where the aliens had slept and eaten. They found laboratories with equipment they couldn't understand. "Commander, you need to see this," Gausun Kim Do-hyun called from another room. Li Huan hurried over to find Kim Do-hyun staring at a massive engine room. The engines were unlike anything humans had ever imagined. They seemed to bend space and time around them, even though they were turned off. "This is how they traveled faster than light," Kim Do-hyun said with amazement in his voice. "If we could understand this technology, we could travel to any star in the galaxy." Back on the bridge, Dr. Park Minji had made a breakthrough. "I'm getting some data from their computers," she announced. "The language is incredibly complex, but I think I can translate some basic information." The first thing she learned was the name of the alien race that had built this ship. They called themselves the Keth. They had come from a star system very far away. The ship's name was something that translated roughly to Destroyer of Worlds. "That's not a very friendly name," said Captain Yoon Seo-hee. "No, it's not," agreed Dr. Park Minji. "And I'm finding more disturbing information. According to these files, the Keth Empire has conquered hundreds of worlds and destroyed many civilizations." Li Huan felt a chill run down his spine. "Are they coming to Earth?" Dr. Park Minji worked frantically at the alien computer, translating more files. What she found made her face turn pale. "Commander, Earth is in their database. They've been watching us for years. According to this, they're planning to invade our solar system within the next 10 years. The small human team stood in silence, realizing that they had discovered both humanity's greatest opportunity and its greatest threat. The broken alien warship around them was proof that the Keth Empire could be defeated, but it was also evidence of how powerful and dangerous they were. "We need to get this information back to Earth immediately," Li Huan said, "and we need to take as much of this technology with us as we can carry." As they prepared to leave the alien ship, Kim Do-hyun made one more discovery. Deep in the ship's computer core, he found the location of the Keth home worlds and the size of their empire. What he saw made him realize that Earth was facing an enemy unlike anything in human history. The Keth Empire controlled over 1,000 star systems and had a fleet of warships that numbered in the tens of thousands. Earth had barely begun to explore beyond its own solar system, and now they faced an enemy that had been conquering the galaxy for centuries. But as the human team returned to their shuttle, they carried with them something the Keth had not expected to leave behind: the knowledge of how to build weapons that could fight back. The abandoned warship was no longer just a derelict floating in space. It had become humanity's first lesson in galactic warfare, and perhaps their only hope for survival. Fleet Admiral Won Kyung-ho stood on the bridge of the newly completed human battleship Vengeance and watched the most important battle in human history begin. The Keth invasion fleet had finally arrived in Earth's solar system, but they had found something waiting for them that no alien commander could have imagined. 12 human warships hung in space near the asteroid belt, each one built using captured Keth technology and improved with human engineering. The Retribution led the small fleet, its hull scarred from dozens of victories against enemy scout forces. "Enemy fleet contacts confirmed," reported Communications Officer Lee Subin. 214 Keth warships, just as our intelligence predicted. They're maintaining standard invasion formation. Captain Han Suman commanded the Vengeance, humanity's second completed hybrid warship. She had trained under Captain Yoon Seo-hee and had learned to use human unpredictability as a weapon against alien tactics. "They're doing exactly what we expected," she reported over the fleet communication channel. Slow, organized approach with heavy ships in front and support vessels protected in the center. The Keth invasion fleet was massive beyond anything humans had ever imagined. Each alien battleship was the size of a small city, armed with weapons that could crack planets in half. But they were moving in formations that had worked against every other species they had conquered. Dr. Kang Ji-ho had been working for 2 years on humanity's secret weapon. He was not a military man, but a computer scientist who had discovered something amazing hidden in captured Keth technology. "The virus is ready for deployment," he reported from his laboratory on Earth. "Once we get close enough to their command ship, we can upload it to their entire fleet network." The virus was Dr. Kang's masterpiece. It was a computer program that could turn captured Keth technology against itself. Every weapon and ship system that the aliens had built could be controlled by human operators once the virus infected their networks. Fleet Admiral Won had been planning this battle for months. The human fleet was outnumbered 16-1, but they had advantages the Keth could never understand. Human pilots were more creative, human tactics were more flexible, and human technology had been improved in ways the aliens never imagined. "All ships, begin attack pattern Alpha," he ordered. "Target their communications array first. Blind them before they can coordinate a response." The human fleet scattered in all directions, moving in patterns that confused the Keth commanders. Instead of meeting the invasion fleet in organized battle lines, the human ships darted between asteroids and attacked from unexpected angles. The Retribution led the first assault, its modified weapons striking the Keth flagship with devastating accuracy. Captain Yoon Seo-hee had become the most experienced human commander in fighting alien forces, and she used every trick she had learned. "Their shields are adapting to our weapons," reported her weapons, Officer Park Dae-ho, "but not fast enough to stop us." The human weapons had been designed specifically to counter Keth defensive systems. Every captured enemy ship had taught Earth's engineers new ways to penetrate alien armor and shields. The invasion fleet found themselves taking damage from weapons that shouldn't have been able to hurt them. "Multiple enemy ships are breaking formation," reported scanner operator Cho Min-soo from the Retribution. They're trying to surround us, but they can't match our speed and maneuverability. Captain Han Suman led the Vengeance on a daring attack run straight through the center of the enemy fleet. Her ship took heavy damage, but the bold move confused the Keth commanders who had never seen such reckless tactics succeed. "This is Vengeance," she reported over the communication channel. "I'm in position to upload the virus to their command network. Beginning data transmission now." Dr. Kang's virus spread through the Keth fleet network like wildfire. Within minutes, human operators on Earth were taking control of enemy weapon systems and turning them against their own ships. The organized invasion fleet descended into chaos as their own technology betrayed them. "Confirmed virus deployment successful," Dr. Kang reported from his laboratory. "We now have partial control over 60% of their fleet systems, but the Keth were not helpless. Their fleet commanders realized what was happening and began to fight back with desperate fury. The largest alien battleships concentrated their fire on the human fleet, and several of Earth's ships took critical damage. The Defender was destroyed when 3 Keth cruisers caught it in a crossfire. The Guardian was crippled and had to retreat behind the asteroid belt. The Liberator lost its main engines and drifted helplessly until rescue ships could reach it. We're losing ships faster than we can replace them." Fleet Admiral 1 reported to Earth. "The virus is working, but they're adapting to it." That was when Captain Han Suman made the decision that would win the battle. The Vengeance was badly damaged and losing power. Her crew was wounded and the ship's weapons were almost exhausted. "Fleet Admiral, I'm going to ram their command ship," she announced calmly. "If we can destroy their fleet commander, the rest of their ships will be leaderless." "Captain, that's a suicide mission," Admiral 1 replied. "Maybe. But if we don't stop them here, they'll destroy Earth anyway. Tell my family I love them." The Vengeance turned toward the massive Keth flagship and accelerated to maximum speed. Enemy weapons tore through her hull, but Captain Han kept her ship on course. At the last moment, she activated the ship's self-destruct system. The explosion was visible from Earth. The Keth flagship and 6 nearby cruisers were completely destroyed. The alien fleet commander and his entire staff were killed instantly. Suddenly, the massive invasion force had no one to give them orders. "Their command structure is collapsing," Hiram reported from the Retribution. "Individual ships are trying to retreat, but they don't know where to go." That was when Dr. Kang activated the second part of his virus. Every Keth ship that tried to escape found its navigation systems controlled by human operators. Their weapons turned on each other. Their life support systems began to fail. "Surrender now and you will be treated fairly," Fleet Admiral 1 broadcast to the surviving alien ships. "Continue fighting and your own technology will destroy you." Many Keth ships accepted surrender rather than face destruction by their own weapons. Others tried to fight on, but they were outnumbered by the ships that had already been turned against them. The Great Invasion Fleet tore itself apart as human-controlled systems battled alien-controlled ones. Commander Li Huan, now an old man, watched the battle from Earth's orbital command center. He had discovered the first alien ship years ago and started,
"Humanity on the path to this victory. The Keth flagship is destroyed,"
he reported to the President of Earth. "Enemy. Fleet is surrendering or retreating. Earth is safe." But the victory came with a terrible cost. 8 human ships had been destroyed, and thousands of Earth's best and brightest had died in the battle. Captain Han Suman was gone, along with the crews of several other vessels. In the weeks after the battle, captured Keth officers revealed the full scope of their empire's crimes. For 2,000 years, they had conquered and destroyed hundreds of civilizations. Entire species had been wiped out to make room for Keth expansion. "We have a choice," Fleet Admiral 1 told the leaders of Earth. "We can use our captured ships to build our own empire, or we can do something no one in the galaxy has ever done before." "What do you mean?" asked the President. "We can liberate the worlds the Keth have conquered. Instead of becoming conquerors ourselves, we can become liberators." Over the next year, human fleets spread throughout Keth space, not as invaders but as friends to oppressed peoples. The alien technology that had been designed for conquest was turned toward exploration and peaceful contact. Dr. Park Minji, now the leader of humanity's diplomatic corps, made contact with dozens of species that had been enslaved by the Keth Empire. Some had been conquered so long ago that they had forgotten what freedom looked like. The humans came not to rule us, but to free us. reported one liberated world's representative to the new Galactic Council that was formed after the Keth defeat. They gave us back our weapons and our dignity. The Retribution became the flagship of humanity's exploration fleet. Captain Yoon Seo-hee, now promoted to admiral, led missions to the farthest corners of what had once been Keth space. Everywhere they went, they found species ready to join the new alliance of free worlds. Kim Do-hyun established schools on dozens of planets, teaching alien species how to use their own reclaimed technology. The engineering principles that had allowed humans to improve Keth weapons were shared freely with anyone who wanted to learn. "The galaxy is a much bigger place than we ever imagined," he wrote in his final report, "and it's full of people who just wanted to be free." Years later, when historians wrote about the fall of the Keth Empire, they would call it the greatest military upset in galactic history. A species that had barely reached the stars had defeated an empire that controlled thousands of worlds. But the humans who had fought in that war knew the real truth. They had won not because they were stronger than the Keth, but because they had refused to become like them. They had taken weapons of conquest and turned them into tools of liberation. The abandoned alien warship that Commander Li Huan had found floating in space had. The Retribution moved silently through the darkness between stars, hunting for its first prey. Captain Yoon Seo-hee sat in her command chair, watching the scanner displays show empty space ahead. But she knew the Keth scout ships were out there somewhere, moving toward Earth's solar system. "Contact on long-range sensors," announced scanner operator Cho Min-soo. 3 ships, moving in formation toward our solar system. They matched the profiles of Keth scout vessels. Captain Yoon felt her heart beat faster. This was the moment they had all trained for. The first battle between humans and the Keth Empire was about to begin. "Are they aware of us?" she asked. "Negative. They're maintaining course and speed. No indication they've detected our presence. The advantage belonged to humanity for now." The Retribution had been modified with human stealth technology that the Keth had never encountered. To their sensors, the massive human warship looked like empty space. "Commander Bae Jungmin, prepare your strike teams," Captain Yoon ordered. "We're going to try to capture at least one of those ships intact." Commander Bae was in charge of the ship's marine forces. His teams were specially trained to board enemy vessels and fight in zero gravity. They had studied every detail of Keth ship designs and knew exactly where to strike for maximum effect. "Teams Alpha and Beta are ready for deployment," he reported. "We have non-lethal weapons designed to subdue Keth personnel without killing them. Intelligence wants prisoners for interrogation." Officer Ko Hyerim was monitoring Keth communications from her station. She had become Earth's leading expert on alien languages and could now understand most Keth military transmissions. "I'm intercepting their communications," she reported. "They're conducting a routine patrol sweep. They have no idea we're here." The 3 Keth scout ships were smaller than the Retribution but still formidable weapons of war. Each one carried enough firepower to destroy a human city, but they had been designed to fight primitive species with simple technology, not an enemy using their own advanced systems against them. "Take us into attack position," Captain Yoon ordered. "Target the lead ship with disabling fire." We want it intact but helpless. The Retribution's weapons systems had been carefully modified for this mission. Instead of the devastating planet-killer beams the Keth had originally installed, human engineers had created precision weapons that could disable enemy ships without destroying them. "Firing," announced Weapons Officer Park Dae-ho, the Mai. Modified alien weapons struck the lead Keth ship with perfect accuracy. The enemy vessel's shields flickered and failed as its power systems overloaded. Its engines went silent, leaving it drifting helplessly in space. The other 2 Keth ships reacted with surprise and confusion. They had never encountered an enemy that could penetrate their shields so easily, or disable their systems so precisely. Their return fire missed the Retribution completely as Captain Yoon used human piloting techniques the aliens had never seen before. "They're trying to call for reinforcements," Ko Hyerim reported. "Should I jam their communications?" "Not yet," Captain Yoon replied. "Let them send a partial message. I want their commanders to know something unusual happened here, but not what." The second Keth ship was destroyed when it tried to ram the Retribution. Human point defense systems, faster and more accurate than anything the Keth had ever faced, tore the enemy vessel apart before it could get close. The third ship attempted to escape, but the Retribution's speed advantage made that impossible. Nam Ji-won, now serving as the ship's chief pilot, used her racing experience to pursue and disable the fleeing enemy. Target neutralized, she reported. Both remaining ships are dead in space. Commander Bay's strike teams launched from the Retribution in specially modified shuttles. They approached the disabled Keth ships carefully, ready for anything. No human had ever seen a living Keth before, and they didn't know what to expect. The interior of the Keth ships was dark and filled with strange smells. The aliens themselves were taller than humans, with gray skin and 4 arms. They moved quickly but became confused when faced with human tactics they had never encountered. These beings are warriors, but they're not very adaptable, Commander Bay reported as his team secured the alien crews. They keep trying to use the same fighting techniques even when they don't work. Sergeant Ryu Changwu led the team that captured the Keth commander. The alien officer was wearing elaborate armor and carried weapons that looked like they had never been used in serious combat. This one seems to be in charge, Ryu reported. He's not injured, just very angry and confused. The captured Keth were brought aboard the Retribution for interrogation. Dr. Park Minji and Ko-Hiram worked together to communicate with the prisoners. The aliens were shocked to discover that humans could speak their language. They keep asking how we learned their technology, Ko-Hiram reported. They can't understand how a primitive species could have weapons that work better than theirs. The interrogation revealed disturbing information about the Keth Empire's invasion plans. Earth was just one target in a massive campaign to conquer dozens of star systems. The Keth had become so confident in their superiority that they barely bothered to study their enemies anymore. They've been conquering weak civilizations for so long that they've forgotten how to fight real battles, explained the captured Keth commander through Ko-Hiram's translation. He says most species surrender after seeing a demonstration of Keth power, but the most valuable intelligence came from the ship's computer systems. Kim Do-hyun and his technical team downloaded everything they could find about Keth fleet movements, supply routes, and command structures. This is incredible, Kim reported to Captain Yoon. We now know the location of their forward supply bases and the routes their reinforcement fleets use. We can hit them where they don't expect it. The Retribution spent the next 3 months hunting Keth scout groups throughout the region around Earth's solar system. Each battle was easier than the last as the human crew learned to exploit alien weaknesses. The Keth had powerful weapons and strong ships, but they fought in predictable patterns. They expected their enemies to meet them in organized formations for honorable battles. Instead, the Retribution used hit-and-run tactics, surprise attacks, and unconventional weapons that the aliens had never encountered. We've destroyed or captured 12 Keth ships without taking any serious damage, Captain Yoon reported to Admiral Choi during one of their secret communications. Their technology is impressive, but their tactics are terrible. Each captured ship provided more intelligence about the Keth Empire. Ko-Hiram had become fluent in several alien languages and could now intercept and decode most enemy communications. She discovered that the Keth commanders were becoming worried about their missing scout ships. They're starting to realize that something unusual is happening in this sector, she reported. Some of their messages mention unexpected resistance and unknown weapons technology. Sergeant Ryu Changwu had led successful boarding actions against 6 different Keth vessels. His Marines had developed new techniques for fighting an alien environments and had captured dozens of enemy personnel for interrogation. The average Keth warrior is physically strong but not very creative, he reported. They follow their training exactly, which makes them predictable. Once we learned their patterns, they became easy to defeat. But the biggest surprise came when the Retribution encountered its first Keth supply convoy. The alien supply ships were massive, carrying enough weapons and equipment to arm an entire invasion fleet. 37 ships, counted Nam Ji-won as she maneuvered the Retribution into attack position. Most of them are cargo vessels with light defensive weapons. The battle was over in less than an hour. The Keth escort ships were no match for human tactics and modified alien technology. The supply vessels were captured intact, providing humanity with enough advanced materials to build a small fleet of warships. This changes everything, Kim Do-hyun reported as he examined the captured supplies. We now have enough Keth technology to build more ships like the Retribution. We don't have to rely on just one vessel anymore. But the most important discovery came from interrogating the supply convoy's commander. Ko-Hiram learned that the main Keth invasion fleet was larger than anyone had imagined. Over 200 warships, she reported grimly. each one more powerful than the scouts we've been fighting. They're planning to arrive in our solar system in 18 months. Captain Yoon looked around at her crew. They had won every battle so far, but they had been fighting small groups of scout ships. The coming invasion would bring an entire fleet of capital ships designed to destroy planets. Can we build enough ships to match them? She asked Kim Do-hyun. Not enough to meet them in direct battle, he admitted, but we don't have to fight them the way they expect. We've proven that human tactics can defeat superior numbers. Commander Bay had been studying the captured intelligence data. Their invasion plan calls for the fleet to gather in the outer solar system and then attack Earth directly. But what if Earth wasn't there when they arrived? What do you mean? Captain Yoon asked. What if we took the fight to them first? Used the same hit-and-run tactics we've been using, but on a larger scale. Attack their supply lines, their bases, their reinforcement routes.